We have a few preliminaries here by way of introductions and thank yous before we get to our main event. We are very pleased tonight to be joined by special friends and relatives of our recipient this year, Dr. Joanne Miller, her father, Norman Brorson, her two brothers, Bruce Brorson and Lon Brorson, and Lon's spouse, Jane. Dr. Miller's sister, Kathy Torkelson, spouse Jim. Also in the audience is Ken Sherwood, who was Dr. Miller's choir director at Red River High School in Grand Forks, and his wife, Mischief. And Peggy Gaynor, a longtime colleague and friend of Dr. Miller's, is here as well. Many of you also know Dr. John Miller, who is the head of the NDSU School of Music, and many of you will also know that he is Dr. Joanne Miller's husband. So a special welcome to all of you on what we know is an exciting evening. We are also pleased tonight to be joined by President Dean Bashani and the Provost of NDSU, Dr. Bruce Rayford, who you will hear from after the performance. There are obviously a number of people who helped to make this event happen. Thanks go to Dr. John Miller and to his students and staff and here in the School of Music, particularly Anna Rusness Peterson for helping to make the various arrangements for using Beckwith Hall. We, of course, also need to express gratitude to the members of the Faculty Lectureship Committee, each of whom represents a college of the university, and they, of course, are listed for you in tonight's program. Each of them provided much thoughtful consideration of each of the nominees for this year's lectureship, and many of them had been involved in the planning for this event. I want to give special thanks to Julie Garden Robinson for arranging for our caterers and for planning the reception that will follow outside in the atrium. And Julie has asked me to ask you to please join us in the reception for a bounty of food afterwards. So I would like to ask quickly here for Julie Garden Robinson, Norma Kaiser Larson, and Robert Nielsen, members of our committee who are here tonight, to stand so that we may thank them. The Faculty Lectureship is an award of great distinction at North Dakota State University. Unlike many other awards at the university, it recognizes distinguished achievement in all three areas of performance of its faculty: in teaching, in scholarship or creative activity or performance, and in service. NDSU faculty seek to excel in each of these areas, but only those with a superior record of achievement in all three can be recognized with the Faculty Lectureship. You will note that the previous recipients of the Faculty Lectureship, dating back to 1957, are listed on the back of your program. And I know that we have a few of those individuals who are here, and I would like also to invite them to stand so that we may acknowledge them as well. Of course, this evening we are devoting our attention to this year's Faculty Lectureship recipient, Dr. Joanne Miller, who has obviously enlisted the assistance of the NDSU Concert Choir in her presentation tonight. I would now like to call on Dean Kent Sandstrom of the College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, who will share with us a few of the many achievements of Dr. Miller. Kent.
Suddenly I feel very short, but I just wanted to thank Mark and the committee again for making such an outstanding choice. Obviously I'm greatly biased in this matter, but it's a pleasure to be here tonight. And speaking of that, I know many pro forma salutations are, it's a pleasure to do this, or it's a pleasure to offer you that. But really, when I thought about this honor, I won't say how recently, but I was very recently invited to do this introduction tonight. And I thought it's not really correct to say it's a pleasure. It's much more like I'm delighted, I'm thrilled, I'm deeply honored to be able to introduce Dr. Joanne Miller tonight, the recipient of the 53rd Faculty Lectureship Award. Joanne is not only one of the most talented faculty members I've met, she's also one of the most thoughtful, devoted, and gracious human beings I've ever met. So sorry, I have my little cheat sheet here, but I'm going to just briefly review these are really the highlights, these are the tips, some of the highlights of her accomplishments. As Mark alluded, that we really look at the three kind of key areas of faculty performance, so I'll be touching upon those areas of scholarship or creative activity, teaching, and service. Dr. Miller's creative activity has been sustained over a lengthy career. She's been at NDSU now for more than 23 years, and during that time, she's established a national reputation for the quality of her peer-reviewed performances. Her choirs have performed at both national and international festivals and conventions, as well as locally. Dr. Miller herself has performed at the Robert Shaw Festival Chorus at Carnegie Hall. Dr. Miller has also led the NDSU Concert Choir in invited performances at the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, at St. Mark's Basilica in Venice, and in case you haven't heard, last summer she led the concert choir to a gold-winning medal performance at the Zadar Festival in Croatia. So she's had quite a series of accomplishments. In addition to being sustained and consistent, Dr. Miller's creative activity has had a notable impact upon NDSU, the region, and the Fargo-Moorhead area. In line with NDSU's land-grant mission, much of Dr. Miller's work has been in creative outreach to our community and state. This outreach has included 20 years of service as a chorus master of the Fargo-Moorhead Symphony, 12 years of service as a founding artistic director of NDSU's Baroque Festival, and involvements in a variety of invited performances, guest conductor gigs, and regional presentations and workshops. Dr. Miller's reputation as a creative scholar is demonstrated by Tavani Publishing's creation of the Joanne Miller Choral Series, a series that showcases the creative work of young composers of choral music. Most crucially, Joanne's remarkable scholarly accomplishments were recognized in 2008 when she received a University Distinguished Professorship from NDSU, the only such professorship awarded on the basis of a remarkable and lengthy record of creative activity. In addition to her talents as a scholar and citizen, Joanne has been an engaged and inspiring teacher, as demonstrated by the fact that she has won 6 Mortarboard Preferred Professor Awards, 2 Apple Polisher Awards, and the Blue Key Distinguished Educator Award. But while important, these awards don't really tell the whole story of who Joanne is as a teacher. They don't tell us about the respect and admiration that she earns from her students, both because they know that she will push them to maximize their talents, and because they know that for her, teaching is a genuine labor of love. And one of the favorite stories I heard about Joanne Miller came from John, actually, when I said, boy, you travel around the world and you take all these students with you around the world. I can't believe that you don't. Haven't you run into some trouble along the way? I mean, haven't some of these students had to be sent home? Or hasn't there been difficulty? And John goes, no, we've had no problems at all. I go, what's her secret? And John said to me, they would just never want to disappoint Joanne. And I thought that was a pretty powerful story about the admiration and respect that her students have for her. Well, let me conclude by stressing that Dr. Joanne Miller is an inspirational model, not only to her students, but also to her colleagues. In observing her, we see a model of someone who heartily enjoys and embraces her responsibilities as an artist, conductor, and teacher. We also see someone who calls out the best in those of us who have the good fortune to be around her. In light of this, I believe that Joanne can be described as a professor in the finest sense of that word. Congratulations to you, Joanne, and I turn the stage over to you now.
That was Laudate Dominum by Joseph Reinberger. Most of you have been to ensemble concerts and enjoyed the final product. We're happy to sing a few pieces for you today, but what we would primarily like to do is to demonstrate how we get to this point. We'll show you some of the work that a conductor and his ensemble do together to achieve a polished performance. But first, I'd like to thank the NDSU choir for joining me here tonight. They know that I've been a bit apprehensive this week about facing the audience and having to speak, and so it's good to know they have my back. And I sometimes hold my breath when I conduct, which is what I just did, so now I have to breathe for just a minute. I'm grateful, very grateful, and humbled to have been awarded the 53rd Faculty Lectureship. I'd like to thank the Dean and Betsy Birmingham for nominating me for this honor, the committee for choosing me, Mark Harvey for shepherding me through this process, my wonderful colleagues in the School of Music, and my friends and family, and all of you who have taken the time to come out tonight. Special thanks to my husband, who's listened to this presentation several times. His suggestions and insights have been very helpful. However, he wants me to try to add some levity to the, and that probably won't happen unless I tell my duck joke. No. Actually, every year at the first rehearsal that we have of the choir, we have Wednesdays as joke day. And so even if it's not a Wednesday, I usually tell my duck joke. And so some of them have heard it for 5 or 6 or 8. They laugh almost every year, though. So, when I meet people for the first time and they ask me, what do you do? I most often say that I'm a teacher. This leads to a series of questions. What do you teach? Music, I say. What instrument do you play? Well, actually, I'm a conductor. And I often sense that I have immediately lost credibility because I don't actually play anything. And many people have no idea what a conductor does beyond somehow leading an ensemble. In fact, if a conductor does her job well, it's quite possible that by the time of her performance, the ensemble can do quite well without her. I try to keep them a little nervous so they continue to need me. No conductor is able to make music without the support and influence of all the other musicians who teach and interact with their students. Our musicians come to us with years of experience, with private lessons, and with the experience of fine ensemble directors that have taught them throughout their school years, with the aid of influential family members and other significant musicians. The students who study here have even more opportunity to continue their development in private lessons, in classroom settings, and in other ensembles and productions. We conductors benefit from everything our students learn outside of our own rehearsals. Perhaps we don't say thank you often enough, but a conductor is always aware of the musicianship the students bring to the ensemble and the growth that is happening due to the work of many other teachers. I'd like to especially thank my choral colleagues, Mike Weber and Charlotte Moe. Our choral program depends so much on their commitment to the students, the choral area, and the School of Music. Thank you, my dear friends. It's a privilege to work with you. I told them I was going to say something nice, and Mike said, yeah, it's probably on the last page. It seems to me that the work of a conductor can be discussed in 3 broad areas: developing technique, leadership, and inspiration. In order to achieve artistic excellence, a conductor is constantly aware of all 3 areas of responsibility. I'll discuss them separately, but as in most complex endeavors, the areas overlap. In some ways, the development of technique and skills is the easiest to achieve, to describe, and to demonstrate. A conductor's technique encompasses vocal technique, language skills, listening skills, keyboard ability, analytical and theoretical skills, music history knowledge, conducting skills, repertoire knowledge. And we must continually develop our skills. There's always new music to learn, vocal challenges to master, conducting mannerisms to overcome. I've spent 30 years, and I still am up on my toes half the time I conduct. And I try to beat that out of my conductors. And if you wiggle your toes inside your shoes, it helps. I see Sarah here. Last time I saw you conduct, Sarah, you did not go up on your toes. Yes. So we work hard on our own technique to try to reach our own potential and in order to help our students grow. We have no instrument without them. And so we invest in them in order to be able to realize our own artistic aspirations. That is true, but also so that they in turn will be able to realize some of their own. It's a conductor's job to teach technique to our students as well, of course. They must learn many of the same techniques that a conductor works on. Vocal techniques, language skills, control of the expressive devices of dynamics, articulation, and tempo, diction skills, musical terminology, understanding style. There's an endless amount of technique that we can teach. And a good conductor is always teaching that in rehearsal. Technique is measurable, fairly easy to assess, and there are countless interesting ways to go about teaching it. Without a certain level of skill, artistic performance is not really possible. However, musicianship is evident in all ages, even in young children. Children who've been taught how to use their voices and sing repertoire that is appropriate and has meaning for them are capable of artistry. As the level of difficulty and sophistication of the music increases, the singers must have a higher level of skill, of course, but the building blocks of artistry are the same. Last spring, I was guest conductor for a children's choir. These elementary-age children had their music memorized and were singing beautifully. In the course of the rehearsal, I asked the children to sing a section a little bit slower and a little softer, where the text related to a more somber feeling. They did so, and it created a really lovely, expressive moment. After the rehearsal, a young boy, must have been about 3rd grade, maybe 9 years old, came up to me and said, "You know that place in the piece where you asked us to sing softer?" I nodded. He said, "That was a really good idea." Very sweet. But, you know, I think he got it. He had a little moment of his own there. I thought that was a good idea. We would now like to demonstrate some of the technical work that we do in rehearsal. One of the first things, of course, is teaching singers, reinforcing what they already know about the voice. So we do exercises with how to support the tone, how to get resonance in your voice so that you have a richer quality, how to place the voice so it's not too fuzzy or unfocused, how to match vowels, all of these things. We also have, we also use warm-ups so that we can develop a common language, so that if I ask for something, we've already established what that means to them. Also, the warm-up is where a conductor gets to know the voices that she works with, so that I can pick the appropriate repertoire. Also, the conducting gesture can really affect vocal production. So we practice to help them become more responsive to the subtleties in my gesture. We've practiced this week. Sometimes they're looking right at me, smiling at me, totally engaged, and not doing even remotely what I'm showing them. So I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen tonight. One of the things that we use is for some of these exercises is unison singing, and specifically chant. So we would like to sing just a very brief example of a chant that we use for warm-ups. And so I'm going to ask them, what are some of the things that we want to accomplish with this chant? What are some of the musical goals of learning this chant and performing it? Samantha?
Unifying our vowels.
Okay, unifying vowels, good. What else? Tylen?
We want to get connective consonants, so it sounds very legato.
Connective consonants are M's and N's and L's and NG's. They help make a legato line. Yes? Somebody had a hand up over here. Caitlin?
Rhythmic accuracy.
Keeping it rhythmic? Good. What else? Brianna?
Breathing or singing on the breath.
Singing on the breath. Cody.
Dynamic contrast.
Especially where? That was the right answer. Answer phrases. That was the right answer. Somebody give me a pound. So we'll just sing this chant to see if you can. Oh, and what's one of our favorites that we work on? Flipped R's. Yes.
Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Jesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae.
Thank you. Much of the conductor's work also happens before rehearsal, of course. The composer and the piece must be put into historical perspective. I think that all musicians feel a responsibility to the composer. We respect the compositional process, especially those of us who have absolutely no ability in that area, and we try to determine the composer's intent through study, through listening, through analysis, and sometimes through experimentation. Often a contemporary composer will write notes in the preface to a score or in the score itself that describe their compositional process, and or they indicate many tempo and articulation and expressive markings. But in early music, there are very few markings in a score, and so this kind of a score demands much more study and analysis. For example, it's as if Handel were going to give you a map of Europe and you'd need to find your own way to London. But Britain gives you a GPS unit and you're good to go. So you sort of have that kind of a difference between early music and as in Benjamin Britten, and later music. There isn't, of course, just one way to perform a piece, but there are more or less effective ways and expressive ways. A conductor's study, analysis, and experience and musical instincts are critical in determining many aspects of the performance. So in working with the students, in order to perform at an expressive level, the musical style of each piece must be communicated to the ensemble, and then they need to internalize it so that they can communicate it back to the audience. This does take time, and in choral music, it even takes longer because we have repertoire over a 500-year period. So in the Renaissance style, which is about 1400 to 1600, we're using music of that style, the choir must learn to sing with a real purity of tone. And they have to be able to sing lines independently because they cross in and out. They're not sung all at the same time. So that's a special skill. In the Baroque period, 1600 to 1750, a different kind of tone is required, one that's a little more light and buoyant. Thank you, Dr. Sublett, for demonstrating that to us many times. The classical period from about 1750 to 1820, which is the time of Mozart and Haydn, is best understood from the aspect of the structure of the music, and it requires real elegant phrasing. The Romantic music of the 19th century is a favorite of singers because during this time, public concerts began, and composers were writing for primarily community choirs with grown-up voices. So they were writing for voices with a bigger, more mature tone. So our choir loves singing romantic music. That's what our first piece was from the Romantic period. In the modern period of the 20th and 21st centuries, the style is completely eclectic. Some composers write in a Renaissance way, a neo-Renaissance way, some with more ideas that lean toward romantic style, but composers can pick and choose from all the styles that came before them and make it their own. So a conductor teaches these differences in styles with repertoire, with recording, giving specific instructions, but internalizing the basic tenets of these styles will only happen over time. A singer's first experience with a beautiful Renaissance motet, such as the Sicut Cervus by Palestrina, can really be a life-changing experience. A Baroque work like Messiah with full orchestra and soloists is quite different from that and also thrilling. We've been working on Latin American music all year in preparation for the choral music of the Americas Symposium that we're going to be doing in May. So on a side note, this symposium will be held as part of our celebration of the School of Music designation, and we'd especially like to thank Provost Rayford for his generous support of this initiative, and we invite you back for concerts on May 3rd, 4th, and 5th. One of the historical perspectives that we deal with in early music is performance practice, determining what the original traditions of performance likely were at the time a piece was composed. The concert choir has performed Messiah for several years now, and Handel's score leaves lots of room for a conductor to decide a great many things. You have to choose tempo, you have to choose what you want to do with the dynamics, and the articulations, which are whether something is sung short or long, and basically heavy or light. And these aspects really, really do affect the musical results. We would like to demonstrate some of the choices that I've made in one of the movements from Messiah called All We Like Sheep. So I'm going to ask Mike to come to the piano. And first, we're just going to do the first 18 bars of this piece. So the first time we sing it will be just straight through. There aren't any dynamic or articulation or tempo markings on the page, simply the pitches and rhythms. So we'll sing it kind of straight ahead, and then we'll show you how we shape this little section and make it into something quite different. Well, you know the tempo.
All we like sheep, all we like sheep have gone astray. All we like sheep, all we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned, we have turned. Everyone to his own way, everyone to his own way. All we like sheep.
Okay, so that's okay. That's pretty fun by itself. But now we'll do some different things to it. I think that Handel was really brilliant in this particular section. There are 3 different motives, and we'll do slightly different things to each one of them. So the first motive is on the text, All we like sheep have gone astray. And what he does here with the music is he takes the 2 voice parts, and the sopranos go up and the tenors go down in pitch. So they are obviously going astray from each other. And we have added a diminuendo to just heighten the effect of what's already in the score. So I'd like to have the sopranos and tenors, right? Sopranos and tenors sing that opening lick. So we'll start in measure 3. Can you start in measure 3? Should we just start and have gone astray? We'll do all we like sheep, measure 3. Okay, here we go. Measure 3, Mike? Yep. 3, 4.
All we like sheep have gone astray.
Yeah, kind of cool, huh? Then the next motive is we have have turned, and the way he said it, you need to sing it turned. And this is also a melisma, which is where the text is many notes on one syllable, and this is a different kind of melisma, and Handel does this in other pieces too. But instead of the melisma going anywhere, it doesn't ascend or descend, it just turns around on itself. And so I think he's saying something there too. We're turning, but we're not getting anywhere. And so to heighten this aspect of the text, I've asked the singers to put little D's on this melisma. And so instead of it being kind of smooth, we have turned, it's we have turned. You don't hear it, you'll hear it here. But in the concert hall, you might not hear it. It'll just sound really clean and emphasize that aspect of that mode of just turning and kind of churning. So I would like measure 11, and let's have the sopranos. We'll sing it first, and then the altos. So you start, I'll give 2, 3, 4.
We have to. We have to.
And then the last one is maybe the most interesting one, where the text is everyone to his own way. And what Handel does is he puts that particular phrase with a repeated note. I think it emphasizes maybe the stubbornness of man wanting to do everything in his own way. So with that text, I've asked them to articulate it with a heavier quality and with real crisp diction. So let's hear that part as well. So this is, what is this one? Measure 11 through 16. Okay, so we will start in the same measure, but tenors, you come in this time. Okay, here we go. Measure 11. 3 and 4.
We have turned, we have turned, we have turned. Everyone to his own way, all we like sheep.
And now we'll put the whole thing together, so you'll hear those 3 different motives and how they interact with each other.
All we like sheep, all we like sheep have gone astray. All we like sheep, all we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned, we have turned, we have turned. Everyone to his own way, all we like sheep.
Thank you. Not every piece is understood in the same way. For some pieces, the text will give you the most clues, as in this one. For other pieces, you must work out the form or work on the harmonic language. Sometimes how you handle the rhythm and the articulation will be the most important element. These analytical skills are important in understanding the overall structure of a work and can also help you to direct your rehearsal process so that your rehearsals can be the most efficient and effective. One of the most fun things for a conductor is that we are really never done working with a score. You prepare as best you can and then you begin rehearsing. And if you have chosen great repertoire, the piece will continue to reveal itself to you. Sometimes this happens through your own solitary study, working more on the harmonic analysis, reading more, developing rehearsal techniques, or trying to solve balance or intonation issues. And sometimes it happens through interaction with the choir. Their perspective as singers physically involved in making the music is different from the conductor's perspective. And often a change of formation is a suggestion that comes from the choir. Some pieces will work best in sections, as we demonstrated with that first piece. This is the basses, the baritones, and the tenors. But just this morning in rehearsal, we switched the women because we weren't happy with the sound in this room, which is quite a bit smaller than what we usually sing. So instead of having soprano 1, soprano 2s, and altos, we mixed the women. And so we still had the quality of a men's sound and a women's sound, especially in that piece, which had some of that kind of back and forth antiphonal thing, especially at the beginning. But for other pieces, a mixed formation is much more comfortable for them and actually makes the piece sound quite a bit different. So we're going to sing the beginning of a piece called The Brook by Edwin McDowell. And we'll sing it, just a little bit of it, in this formation, and then we'll mix, and you can see if you can hear the difference. They think there's a difference, so you can hope you think there is. We also sometimes switch keys, and this piece was written in F, and we moved it up a half a step and think that it really makes a huge difference. So we'll sing it, just a little bit of it, in this more or less sectional formation, and in F, and then we'll switch it up and sing the piece for you in F sharp.
In sunlight and shadow, through forest and field, laughing at things rising, a tiny stream runs on.
And now they're going to move, which probably is needed anyway. They've been standing quite a while. I'll read the text for you. This is a lovely piece. Edwin McDowell was an early 20th century composer, and it's just a lovely part song is what it's called. Through sunlight and shadow, through forest and field, laughing and crying, softly sighing, a tiny stream runs on. From streamlet to river till lost in the ocean, dreaming of love, of strife, of devotion. So runs our life, so ends our life of emotion.
In sunlight and shadow, through forest and field, laughing, sighing, a tiny stream runs on.
Conductor is also a language and diction coach. We sing in several languages, and I admit to needing help here most of the time. So Dr. Sublett and Dr. Jones are great sources for us, and also several of the students. As I mentioned, this year we're doing a lot of Spanish, and we have a Spanish major who helps us, and also several of the students sing Spanish, have spoken Spanish and also French and German, so they help a lot. We do study the International Phonetic Alphabet, and we do teach the basics to to non-music majors, so that we have a common system to line up all the vowels in all different languages. But probably the most important job for the conductor is that of being a listener. The conductor is the only one who's out front and really hears the whole. So a good conductor will hear what needs fixing and know how to fix it, or at least have ideas about what might fix it. Sometimes a change in color is called for. We're going to do just a couple short examples of sections that I think are changed quite a bit by just changing one simple thing. We'd like to do one section of a Lux Aeterna by Edwin Fissinger. This has a cluster. A cluster is a chord that has a lot of close harmonies, and we'll sing it for you first with full voice, and then we'll sing with a straighter tone quality, and you see what you think. So this is with, well, hopefully you'll be able to tell that this is the one with the full vibrato. Minimize vibrato. And we're going to sing this piece in its entirety at the end, and so you'll see how it fits in the piece as well. Those words, et lux perpetua, and light perpetual, light eternal, this is part of a requiem text. It's a beautiful spot in the piece. Another thing, another piece that we're doing also has tone cluster, and this one, of course, we also will sing with a little straighter tone, but sometimes the issue is balance, and not just the actual tone color, but how much of each note is sung by each individual section. So we'll start, I'll ask the choir, it's a basic F minor chord, and you'll hear that, and then there's a non-chord tone sung by the sopranos and tenors of G that adds a real dissonance. And if you don't have just the right balance, you don't get nearly the power from this chord. So we'll sing it first without rebalancing it, and then I'll ask some people to switch voice parts and sing a different section than what they're used to singing, so that we can get more of the important note. So here's the F major chord, minor, minor, minor. Maybe you don't hear it, but we need more A flat. So now we'll have more A flat. So the first F minor chord, go. You heard that. So that's really fun. That's really fun to do, to mess with. That's really fun. Tempo and articulation choices can also really affect the expressiveness of a piece. We are singing a piece by the Argentine composer Astor Piazzolla. He's primarily an instrumental conductor, but many of his pieces are so popular in South America, but also here. that they've been transcribed into vocal pieces. This piece is called Adios Nonino, and Piazzolla wrote it for his father after his father had died, in memory of his father. And it's a tango. What do I know about tangos? Not much. And the first time we worked on it, and actually even performed it once, I thought of it as a kind of a legato type of piece, because I was thinking of what he had written, as he had written it in memory of his father. So we sang it, and it just didn't feel quite right. And then I thought, I know that Dr. Patnode will know how to do this, because he's a saxophone jazzer, and I thought he's going to be able to tell me about this tango. And sure enough, he knew this piece quite well, and he came in and listened to the choir and had about 27 suggestions, which was great. But we'll do it the way we'll sing it the way we sang it, just parts of it, and then we'll do it. I'll describe some of the differences that we made based on Dr. Patnode's suggestions. But a tango has a lot more rhythmic vitality to it, and the rhythms need to be much more marked, and it needs to be faster, and there needs to be rubato. And so we went for it, and we really love it now. So maybe we'll sing the whole thing for you. I love it. day-to-day work, I believe, is the basis for developing the art of the conductor and the ensemble. There is no substitute for attention to detail and striving for perfection. When the pitches, the rhythms, the language, the balance, the intonation, the articulation are all comfortably in place, then the musicians can let muscle memory take over and enjoy the aesthetic experience and the joy in active communication within the ensemble and with the audience. That a conductor must understand the importance of leadership almost goes without saying. The style of leadership a conductor chooses, however, will affect every aspect of their music making. The old world autocratic conductor who ruled with an iron fist is still to be found occasionally, but not very often working with young people. A benevolent dictator model works for many of us most of the time. I think I would put myself there. For example, I choose the music, yes. I organize the rehearsals and the concert schedule, and I run the rehearsals. But the students are always free to offer suggestions, both organizational and musical. And I do ask for their input often, and I do try to be sensitive to their concerns in all things. There is developing an even more collaborative model in some organizations where the ensemble, usually smaller than a big concert choir, functions with all singers participating in artistic decisions. Contus, which is a professional men's choir in Minneapolis, works this way. Although I understand that most often they take turns shaping a piece rather than all weighing in on each piece, which I think would be pretty tough. But we are proud that an alum of the NDSU concert choir, Matthew Tintis, is a part of that ensemble. I think any of these leadership models can work as long as there is a genuine relationship between the conductor and the musicians. Without a relationship with the musicians under your care, the music making is not nearly as fulfilling as life-affirming, efficient, effective, or fun. Relationships are so important in a choir that if we are ever at odds with each other, it's usually when I'm crabby about something, and it doesn't even have to relate to them. It's hard to rehearse at all until we get it out of the way. I ask them that we leave our worries and distractions at the door of room 122 for the time of rehearsal. And they do. We don't all love each other all day, every day, but we do have trust and respect for each other, and we try to give each other the benefit of the doubt. I have found that trust is the most important aspect of my leadership of this ensemble. The choir trusts that I will do my best for them, and I trust that they will as well. We revisit the actual working out of this trust several times a semester, of course. We build relationships with traditions that begin developing early in the year. In September, we go on retreat to a small resort in Minnesota, and that day and a half really sets the tone for caring and commitment that we all have. Section leaders plan activities for the members of their section. Some years we assign choir families, groups of students who spend time together and act as informal support for each other. When we go on tour, it's a really important bonding time through the time that we spend together on the bus, but also because of the repeated performances of music that we love in ever-changing venues. Some wonderful, some not so wonderful, but even those are something to remember and treasure. We have tour buddies, so it's sort of like a secret Santa, and they give gifts to each other during tour. And by the way, I would like to thank my tour buddy for the white scarf I received on the last day of tour. I really, really like it. We have other traditions that are revived only occasionally, such as sandbagging at the Miller House. Hopefully that one won't have to happen this spring. Ramona Wiss, in her book, The Conductor as Leader, describes an approach to leadership known as servant leadership, which has at its core the fundamental question, how can I help? Quote, how can I help the individual musicians grow as technicians and expressive artists? How can I help them be independent musical decision makers? How can I help the ensemble understand this music and develop a beautiful sound? How can I help develop this organization to the next step and help audiences enjoy the music we perform? How can I help everyone in my sphere of influence understand the importance of music in our lives? One of the wonderful things about this choir is that my students ask these questions all the time. The section leaders want their sectionals to be not just working through pitches and rhythms, but also to be enjoyable and to lead to better musicianship. The choir officers want to be of help to build the camaraderie and the organizational aspects of the choir, and to be of help to me and their fellow singers through helping arrange tours and concerts and reminding me of details that I might not have thought of. And individual singers, after almost every rehearsal, will offer suggestions from their perspective inside the ensemble that they think will help our overall sound or musicianship. Sometimes they even offer suggestions during rehearsal, such as, "I'm pretty sure you're doing that rhythm wrong." Do you wonder who I'm talking about? Does he have a look on his face? The problem is that most of the time, he's right. We definitely have a culture of service in this ensemble, and while I'm technically the leader, we do serve each other in the pursuit of the art forming in their singers to transfer our desire to make a piece come alive to the musicians under our charge and for our audiences. Barry Green, in his book, The Mastery of Music, states that if we feel inspired, we will find the passion, the discipline, and the courage to go forward. We will play together, we will practice, we will gain the technical skills we need, we will inspire others, and we will be inspired to continue on our path of personal growth toward true artistry. In a conductor's work, there are two facets to inspiration. First, we need to find it for ourselves, and then we need to try to ignite it in the musicians under our charge. First, the inspiration I need to work hard, for me, comes from the music itself, but the other inspiration for me is just as important. I'm inspired by the responsibility and the privilege of collaborating with these students. Looking into the faces of the choir members as we rehearse and perform, I'm inspired by their talent, by their intelligence, their sensitivity, their insight, and their musicianship, and I am continually challenged and inspired to live up to what they expect from me. I never want to let them down. Simply put, wonderful music and wonderful students do continually inspire me. From a conductor who feels inspired to an inspiring and thrilling performance is what we all strive for. The moments when a singer or an audience member has a real thrill from what they hear are moments that we remember for a long time, sometimes forever. I don't know if anyone really understands the why and the how that it happens, and you certainly can never predict when it will happen. But I asked the choir what their experience had been of when those aesthetic and thrilling moments happen. And I was going to read what they said, because it was really great. But then I thought maybe you would like to hear it from them. So can you, brave souls, tell me when you have that moment that's really special that you remember, what was it about it that made it that way for you? Emily.
We performed a piece that was very difficult last year. I believe it was last year. Frida Alp Erden, and we worked on it all year long. And it started out at the very beginning of the year. The choir some of us didn't know each other as well because there were new people who had come in, and we didn't know the music. And then throughout the year, we worked really hard on the music together. We got to know each other and built relationships with each other, with Dr. Miller. And when we performed it on tour, it was by far the most moving piece of music, and such a satisfying feeling when it was done. And I think a lot of us had that same feeling about it. So both working really hard on music and bonding with each other, it all works together to be inspiring.
Thank you. Tylen.
When we're doing a foreign piece, Dr. Miller often reads us the translation, and we kind of sit in the choir room just thinking about it and giving thoughts and thinking of ideas of how to express that. And by the end of it, when we know what we're singing about, and we've worked on it so hard for so long, then it just clicks, and it's absolutely beautiful. So thank you.
Caitlin.
There's a piece that we did a couple years ago that Dale Worland wrote for us called Leaves, and it's basically talking about losing somebody, and it's like the sun can't shine anymore, and you shared a very personal story about you, and then that made me think of something that I went through personally. And although to sing the song kind of broke my heart at the very end when it talks about how, you know, the leaves finally come back on the tree, and it just was something really beautiful that we can be so open and honest with each other that really helps bring out the meaning of the music for the whole ensemble and for you.
Alex.
I think one thing that I really enjoy that I think most people would agree with is the final product that we get to sing at concerts, and there's one moment that the audience doesn't really get to see after the song is over. She'll hold her arms up still and kind of look at us, and usually if it's a really meaningful piece, say something, just a quick little 2 words or anything saying how she felt, and it that really is really great to get that feedback from her.
They said a lot of other things. Thank you. I'll just read a couple of them. We're real close to being done here. When we have the feeling that we are singing as one. When we understand, you said that, we said that. When we are so comfortable with our technique that the performance feels effortless. When we are in good relationship with each other. When we have loved and lived with the music, worked it out, and accomplished our goals. When we take the artistic vision of the conductor, work out the layers of the piece, communicate the meaning of the work, and participate in a living piece of art. I think those ideas that they clearly articulated in a 10-minute discussion are as insightful as most of the books I read trying to get good quotes. In conclusion, I believe that the conductor's art consists of the daily, detailed, focused work of building musicians, the privilege of leading those who also wish to make music with you, and the responsibility and challenges of finding inspiration from the music and the musicians, and communicating that to your audience. Every day working with this choir is a joy. Every rehearsal and performance is an opportunity to communicate the richness of the life of emotion that can be found in the pursuit of excellence of art. We'd like to finish with Lux Aeterna by Edwin Fissinger. Dr. Fissinger was the music department chair here and the director of the concert choir from 1967 to 85. He was my mentor, and Jeff's too. This piece was special to him as he wrote it in memory of 2 dear friends that had passed, and it has become special to us. Our soloists this evening are Jay Spieler and Tyler Boltema. Thank you so much for your kind attention and for your attendance this evening.
Lux Aeterna, Lucia Teis Domine. Requiem aeternam dona eis Domine. Lux, Lux, Lux.
proceed with the presentation of the award, Dr. Miller is happy to take a few questions. Do we want to let your fine choir here sit?
It would be too messy.
Okay. Any questions for Dr. Miller?
Oh, that's good. That happened just now.
So I was curious, you defined these different periods, and then you said that in our time, there is no defined style. Do you think 100 years from now that someone will look back and say, well, during that time they were singing this type of music?
This sounds like a question for a doctoral orals. I think that there will be. I think there will be by periods. There was earlier in the 20th century there was a style that sort of went away, and now there is another style that's. I mean, it'd take a long time, but I think it will. But I don't think it'll be such huge blocks of time anymore. 150 years for the Renaissance and 150 for the Baroque period. I think it'll be in much smaller chunks. Early 20th century composers were doing this. Mid, 2 decades that was this, and so forth. As everything else, things are moving so fast. So I think we can get a handle on it, but it won't be within centuries. It'll be within decades.
I was wondering what adjustments you make if you're in kind of the middle of a performance and things aren't quite going like you want them to go. That's conductor. It's not like a basketball game where you call it timeout or something. I'm trying to get things driven. What do you do to kind of make things go more in the direction you'd like them to go?
Well, I learned when I was much younger conductor. I would let everything show on my face, and my choirs were terrifying. And Sarah, you probably remember some of those performances where something would go not very well, and I would be devastated, and I would show it, and then they just couldn't kind of recover from it. So things would go from bad to worse. And so I generally don't try not to show it and try to just keep being encouraging. And sometimes you can give. Sometimes if a person, if you know the voices well enough, and if there's a person who has a tendency to oversing, for example, you just need to glance and they know. Or if somebody has a tendency to sing a little sharp in a certain place, I can look, kind of tip my head a little bit, and they get the drift. I mean, there are things that you do. Some of these kids I've had in choir for 4 or 5 years now, and so we know each other and the voices pretty well. So that can help. Sometimes you just have to, I will do things like skip a piece and go on to, if it's not going well and I know that one's going to be a challenging one for them, I'll just skip a piece and go to something else that will help relax them. So you can, by switching up the order of what you sing, one piece is really difficult, another is much more easy, then we might just do that. I do that a lot. That helps. And what else? Anything else you can think of that things don't go well? Hannah.
You raise your eyebrows.
And you interpret that to mean you better be getting better.
I was just going to say, you kind of look at us and we read your mind and we know exactly what you're saying. Just kind of stare at us and we know exactly what you're thinking in your head. The telepathy going.
With the eyebrows, she tilts her head like this. She gets this look, and then you know you're doing something wrong.
It's good. It's good.
It's helpful.
Next question.
Yeah,
What's you're doing something right soon?
Oh, she smiles. A big old smile. Yeah.
There's occasional tear. I try hard not to do that. Yes, Caitlin.
If you really love something right at the end, you just nod and say.
Jason.
That's actually something that we kind of strive for. If we can get her to cry, then we know.
Yes.
Joanne, do you have a favorite music period? Do you favor one or the other?
I do really love Baroque music, but I don't know that I have a favorite composer in each period, so I'll go that far. But I love unaccompanied music. So Baroque music is almost all accompanied by orchestra, and it has its own challenges and thrills, but unaccompanied choral singing of all periods I really love. I mean, it's the most immediate with us. It's the most, we are able to shape things to our own, to exactly how we like. So we like choral unaccompanied of all style periods, but I don't think I do have a favorite now that you mention it. Just what we're working on at the moment is the favorite. Yes, Jane.
How would you describe what it feels like to perform as a conductor compared to performing as a vocal soloist or instrumentalist?
Well, I think it's the responsibility aspect of it that's a little different. I mean, as a conductor, you're responsible for their whole entire experience, and as a soloist, of course, you are too. But you're in control of at least your own voice or your own instrument. Here, I mean, I'm in control of them, but there's 65 things that could go wrong or right. So how is it different? I mean, I haven't performed as a soloist for so long, but I think that that maybe it's just the feeling of being responsible for everyone's experience, and so you just kind of take that on. But also then the joy is multiplied times 65 too when things go well.
I'm going to call on Provost Bruce Rayford to present the award. Dr. Miller.
Facing this way?
There's a plan.
Okay.
The faculty, faculty lecturers, President Brashani, students, members of the NDSU Concert Choir, distinguished guests. Let me read you the excerpt from Dean Sandstrom's nomination letter for Dr. Joanne Miller for the Conductor's Art. Dr. Miller's creative activity is extraordinary, sustained and significant, and has a notable impact both to NDSU and to her discipline. Dr. Miller has been an award-winning teacher and has provided exemplary service to NDSU and the community. Along with sharing NDSU's musical talent with the state and region, her work also has national and international reach with invitations to worldwide performances. Before giving the award, I would like to invite the members who are prior recipients of the faculty lectureship to join us on the stage. Dr. Miller, on behalf of the faculty and the faculty lectureship, it's my pleasure to present you with this award for your Conductor's Art. Congratulations. That would be the office version. We also have something suitable for the home. Let me give you this as well.
One thing that the choir wanted me to talk about is that with the traditions, they always ask me, do we get to sing the yellow and the green? We always sing it after every performance. So we'll be in the lobby, and if you're an alum, you can join us, and we'll sing the yellow and the green out there. Thank you again for coming.
But last but not least, well, penultimately, just a small token of our appreciation for all that you've brought to the community, to NDSU, and to your students.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
I know everyone is anticipating what's next, which is the opportunity to hear Dr. Miller lead the combined chorus of the NDSU Concert Choir with the Faculty Lectureship Choir. But I was afraid that it would make her cry. So please join us for a reception in the atrium.